Committee members, if you would please take your seats. It's 9 o'clock. I will look to our WebEx director. If you can tell me who's on WebEx, if we have committee members.
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. The only member of the committee that I see on WebEx is Representative Thomas.
Representative who?
Representative Adam Thomas.
Thank you. Representative Thomas. Representative Thomas, are you in the building?
I am about 2 minutes away, sir.
Thank you. Committee members, I'll ask you to, this is a continuation from yesterday. We are presently have House Bill 2611. It is open. We have attached one amendment. We were discussing a second amendment, so you may need to take a second and pull that out. I know I do. It was a large amendment, and it's prepared by Mike Hine. It's the amendment that the ranking member, or vice chair, I'm sorry, was discussing. We do not have a second on this because normally I wait until the amendment is fully explained and then ask for a second. And I have extra copies. Yes, Representative Miller would like to have an extra copy. And Representative Heiberger. Now, if I recall, I was having the reviser go through the amendment. So, Mike, it may save time, and I hate to do this, but if you start back on page 1 and go through all the different changes that you have. So we're going to start back on page 1. Take the podium, sir. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, these amendments basically are clarification and some other policy changes, I'll put it that way. Beginning on page 1, the major things are that there's a clarification that the delivery shall only be within the state of Kansas. There's a provision that the delivery permit fee would be $1,500 instead of $25. And basically the third-party delivery service permit is who would pay the $1,500, not the retailer. The permit fee would be good for 1 year. That's down in lines 29. If you look on page 2, you've got some additional language added about personal data. And I think, in all honesty, or if I remember correctly, honesty or not, that was where we stopped yesterday. So where we were talking about personal data and what is collected and how that would be stored and so on. There were some questions about it. I'm not sure that they were fully answered, but anyway, this is the language that was presented in terms of trying to clarify. Subsection G there on page 2, nothing in sections 2 or 3 shall be construed to require a company that only provides technology services to a retailer to obtain a third-party delivery permit fee. There's a provision that additional fees would be allowed to be charged for delivery. There is language about independent contractors, and that's stricken throughout the bill, so there's no longer an independent contractor provision. It would be just third-party delivery folks. If Section 2 deals with the retailers, and one of the amendments that was passed yesterday, the first one, added the micro brewery, the micro distillery, and the farm winery. There was some controversy about that later. I won't get into it. We maybe will later, but I've got an amendment for that if you want to deal with it. Anyway, the Section 2 deals with retailers and now would cover farm wineries and micro distilleries and microbreweries and so on. There's some language added on page 4 that the deliveries could only be in a county where the vote is approved, basically the sale of liquor. There's a 25-mile instead of a 50-mile radius in terms of, that's on page 4 again, in terms of where deliveries could be made. On page 5, there's a requirement that they maintain records for a period of 3 years. There's the penalty provision that's raised from $500 to $1,000. And you get into Section 3, and that is the cereal malt beverage retailer. And the amendments match what is in Section 2 dealing with retailers that have already gone through. So I'm not going to spend any time on Section 3 because the amendments are pretty much identical to what was in the other section. Section 4 amends the definition section of the Liquor Control Act and adds some new definitions. That's on page 12. Personal data is added. On page 13, there's the third party delivery service that definition is added. And that, I believe, is the bill, or the amendments anyway.
Thank you. Questions for the revisor on the amendment? Seeing none, I would look for a second. Is there a second to the amendment?
Chairman, I'll second it.
Is that Representative Thomas?
Yes, sir.
Are you in the building?
Yes, sir, I am. Let me,
Thank you.
in the basement on the web.
And did you make a second?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Since you are in the building,
Yes, sir.
I will accept the second. Discussion on the amendment. Yes, go ahead, Representative Al.
Sorry, I didn't get the question in earlier, but
For the carrier of the amendment.
or the revisor.
Okay, go ahead.
So if there's a violation of, this proposed statute in terms of selling to an underage person, I understand there could be criminal penalties as well as administrative penalties. So the delivery person could be subject to criminal violations where the third party service delivery company would be subject to a more administrative violation. Can you explain how that?
I think, if I might, Mr. Chairman, I think the director of ABC maybe is a better person to answer about how the penalties would work.
And I did see her here, I believe. Did you hear the question? Or would you like to restate it?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I heard the question. Debbie Beavers, ABC Director. If there is a violation, the permit holder would be cited, and if it was an underage sale or some other type of criminal violation, the individual would then be criminally cited.
Okay, so there could be two different penalties, one more administrative. And what type of a penalty is that? Is it in terms of
I believe we've got it now at $1,000 per violation, or up to $1,000.
Yes, it's up to $1,000, and we have a penalty grid that we follow, so subsequent violations would then be an increased penalty.
Is there a threshold of so many violations, then you lose the permit, or does it go through like a review process?
Yes, there is a progression in the penalties, and when the fines increases, then they are subject to suspension and possible revocation of the license or permit.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Further questions on the amendment to the carrier of the amendment? Yes, Representative Penn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick question, if I may. The $1,500, it may have been discussed, maybe I missed it. Is it to a particular business or the third party one time, or is it for every permit that they require? Does it apply across?
So I'll direct that to the reviser.
The permit, if I understand it correctly, is good for 1 year, so you'd have to pay $1,500 every year.
You're quite welcome. Further questions on the amendment? Seeing no other questions, I'm trying to slow down the process. I don't know if Representative Thomas said he was in the building. Representative Hoheisel?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is just another question for the reviser, but I think Adam's here. No. Hey.
Is that the last?
Yep, we're good to go then.
Thing? I thought we were going to have to listen to you for an hour. Okay. Representative Arnkamp, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick question on that $1,500 fee. So we're going from $25 to $1,500.
That is
large
correct.
change.
That's my understanding. But
Yeah, could I ask the carrier of the amendment, just where did the $1,500 come from? What made that decision, please?
From what I understand from conversations with ABC and with the folks that are proponents of this, they want to make sure that the people who are delivering we're not just having everybody has the ability to deliver. We want the people who are truly going to be invested in this. And so raising it to $1,500, hopefully you're going to have I can't think of the right word, what I'm trying to say, but they're trying to raise it so that way they have, again, not 700 people that want to do it with $25. It's the real deal people at $1,500, if that makes sense.
I think what you're saying is anybody can pay $25, and then you don't know if they're reputable or not. If somebody's paying the $1,500, it would probably be a company, and sometimes they raise the fees to not saying I agree with it or disagree with it, but that's what was agreed on language between the proponents and ABC.
To deliver one time.
With that, Representative Hoyt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I want to try to re-clarify something because I think a previous representative was asking about that $1,500 fee applies to the third-party retailer, but just the retailer, not each individual driver that may be delivering. Is that correct?
I'll give that to the reviser.
Okay.
That's my understanding. I think that came out yesterday.
Yep. That's it. Further questions? Seeing none. Representative, you may move your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move my amendment.
You've heard the amendment of Representative Armberger to amend House Bill 2611. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no.
No.
Chair is unsure. All in favor of the amendment, raise their right hand. And I'm going to have a vice chair. It's your amendment, so I want to have the ranking member count the votes.
Okay.
Oh, you got one more over there.
7 there. 7.
Those opposed. Did you count them?
13.
7 in favor, 13 opposed. The motion to amend is failed. We are back on the bill. Back on discussion.
The cleanup language, Debbie said she would speak to it, so we have an amendment.
You have another amendment?
Yeah, the cleanup for the 3-tier.
Would you?
Yeah, but Debbie said that she'll.
I'll recognize the vice chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is language that was brought forward after the brewery amendment was added on. And so this is just to clarify on that there will not be direct selling, but I did want to state, I talked to the ABC director today, and she said she's willing to come up and explain as well.
Thank you. First, I'll turn to the reviser, and then I'll have ABC. My understanding, Representative, is this is brought to you by the ABC director?
No, this was brought to me by some of the folks that want to make sure that the breweries are still going, breweries, microbreweries, or what is it, breweries, micro distilleries and farm wineries, that they're still going through the 3-tier process.
Okay.
And so that's where it came up. And then there's discussion between them and the ABC. And so it was a lot of discussion yesterday.
Then I will ask the reviser to give us his view, and if we want, I will have the ABC director come up.
Mr. Chairman, yesterday there was some emails back and forth about how the bill with the amendment that was added, the First Amendment, violated the 3-tier system. There was some dispute among folks whether it actually did violate. I ended up calling the attorney for the ABC, and together we come up with the language on page 2, which cites the specific statutes for farm wineries, microbreweries, and microdistilleries, and specific provisions that authorize them to sell their own product. And that was thought, at least by the attorney for the ABC and myself, that would fix the problem. I hope it does. I'm not going to speak for anybody else.
Thank you. Questions for the reviser on that? Yes, Representative Howe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The question for the reviser is, was it your opinion that under the current amendment as it stands, it would violate the 3-tier system?
No, but in all honesty, Representative Howe, I don't claim to be an expert on the 3-tier system. There's no place in the Liquor Control Act that I'm aware of that it's ever defined. But we've had explanations of the 3-tier system, and I'm willing to take somebody else's word for. I didn't think there was a violation, but if this will help clarify it, great.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Representative Heiberger.
Curious about how this interacts with the previous amendment. Does anything need to be repealed, or is this in addition to what we passed before?
Representative Reviser.
This is just a clarification of the First Amendment that was adopted yesterday. The bill already, as it stands, covers farm wineries, microbreweries, and microdistilleries.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion or further questions on the amendment? Seeing no other, Representative Arnkamp.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, for instance, on the amendment, number 1, retailers that are farm wineries may deliver products authorized by KSA 41308A6. So I pulled up the statute to figure out, what does that authorize them to do? You mind if I read it real quick?
No.
Okay. So the sale of, if I'm reading the correct statute, 41308A9 Number 6, the sale of wine manufactured by the licensee for consumption on the licensed premises, provided the licensed premises are located in a county where the sale of alcoholic liquor is permitted by law in licensed drinking establishments. Can I ask for clarification on what exactly that, what does that mean in relation to, okay, who can they deliver their products to?
I'll direct that to the reviser.
The thought was that that would identify what product they could deliver. This bill would authorize the delivery. That statute authorizes what can be delivered. And even though it says only on the premises and so on, this would supersede that in terms of delivery. That's the thought.
So I think what he's saying, if the bill passes, this would just allow them to do it, but only if the bill passes. Did I confuse you?
One question.
Sure.
Deliver where and to whom?
Well, the whole bill deals with delivery and by third parties to people that want the farm winery product delivered to them. And I think it's within a 25-mile radius of where the farm winery is at, the way the bill stands now. We could go into the specific statutes and provide an exception. I didn't think it was necessary, but whatever.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Smith?
Mr. Chair, I'd be interested in hearing from Director Beavers on what she believes the impact this is going to have on three-tier system, et cetera. I don't know if it actually does, but I'm trying to muddle through the language from 41308 and myself, and I'm having a hard time with that.
Well, anytime you read any of the alcohol statutes, they are confusing. And I've been reading them for 30 years, but I will ask the director if she wants to make any clarification.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. ABC views this delivery bill as an extension of what a licensee is already able to do. In specific regard to a microbrewery, a customer can go into the microbrewery, they can buy beer, and they can take it home. With delivery, this just authorizes a third party to take the order, you pay them extra to pick it up and take it to you. So we view this as it's nothing new. It's not anything that the licensee can't do. It's just a different way of how they can get it. They can get it delivered to them, pay a little more for the delivery service, or they can go to the microbrewery, farm winery, or microdistillery and pick that up. Regarding the three-tier system, it's a regulatory model, and the reviser is correct. There's nothing in statute or regulations about the three-tier system. Microbrewery law was enacted in 1987, and this carve-out, to the best of my knowledge, and I can't be 100% certain because we couldn't go back online past, I think, 1996 and look. But to the best of my knowledge, it has been this way, that a microbrewery had a carve-out where they could sell their product directly to a customer to take home. They can't sell it to them directly on the licensed premise to consume that unless they also have the drinking establishment license. So I hope that helps clarify.
Was that helpful, Representative?
It was. I think in 41308A, when you look at the particular ones in the balloon amendment, actually 3, 4, 5, and 6, I guess 3 was giving me some concern, but it actually talks about producer licenses and not retailers or distributors, that type of thing. So that's where I think would probably be the problem I was thinking was gonna happen, but I don't see it now.
Thank you, Ms. B.
Thank you.
Further questions on the amendment? Yes, Representative Howe.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Should the proposed amendment be more explicit in referencing the three-tier system, that all alcohol should be delivered only through the three-tier system?
No, not in my opinion, because there's no definition in the law at this point in time. And I don't know how to concisely define the three-tier system. I would need a little bit of assistance on that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, I need a second to the amendment. Is there a second to this proposed amendment? Representative Clayton, seconds. We've had discussion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Representative, you may move your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move my amendment.
You have heard the Representative Arnberger move to amend House Bill 2611. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no.
No.
Opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The ayes do have it. It has been amended. You have the floor.
I'm done.
You good?
Yep.
All right, we're back on the original bill. Yes, Representative Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I too have an amendment.
While it's being handed out, would you like to explain your amendment?
Real short, real simple. It adds drinking establishments as defined in KSA 41-2601. So it would add restaurants, bars, drinking establishments to this bill and allow them to deliver.
And then I'll have the revisor hand it out. I have one. Then I will look to the revisor.
This amendment is somewhat conceptual because it would require basically a new section 4 that would be patterned after sections 2 and 3. And instead of putting all that down on paper, if you agree to the amendment, then you will have basically a duplicate 4 that deals specifically with club and drinking establishments.
Thank you. Questions of the revisor? Representative Clayton.
Yes. So full disclosure, I do support this, but just a point of clarification when it comes to the containers, would they fall under the same regulations that they do? So for instance, when we have to go and pick these things up ourselves with cocktails to go, I know that when you take home a, sealed bottle of wine, or when you get cocktails to go, they already have those containers there's a sticker over it. It's very clear that those cocktails are made in-house and that they're sealed and not opened. So that falls under the same cocktails to go regulations, basically.
That would be my understanding, yes.
All right.
I think this wouldn't give them the ability to do something different than what they can already do.
All right. So the big difference is that instead of the consumer going to pick these up, it is the third-party delivery system, and nothing else has changed with the way they're sealed. Thank you.
You, Representative Hoyt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I thought that the bill did outline that this is cereal malt beverages, 6% alcohol by volume, and that it has to be in its original container. So I don't. Can we get clarification on that? If this would cover cocktails to go?
Establishment Act is a totally separate act, and it's where you walk into a bar and get a drink, or a restaurant and so on. It's in chapter or article 26, and it's separate from the Cereal Malt Beverage Act, which is article 27, and the retail liquor store and microbrewery, and those are in a different section of the law as well. So this is because it's a separate act, it would require, I could redraft the whole bill and have it be a little bit simpler, but I don't think the committee wants that. So
Was that helpful, Representative?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Other questions as to I call it the Thomas Amendment? Yes, Representative Howe.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yes.
Under current law, if you go to a restaurant and say you get a bottle of wine, you can take it home as long as you put the cork back in. Is that correct?
I think you've got to have it sealed, but since I don't take bottles of wine home with me very often, they're usually done when I'm there.
What the revisor says, if he can't drink the whole bottle, he just leaves the rest of it. But all right, I understand that. There's probably a few in this room that practice that. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman, I think the carrier of the amendment might have a clarification on that.
Yes.
Yes, you can't just walk out with a bottle of wine with a cork in it. It has to be sealed before you can take it out.
Representative, sealed with like a plastic bag or?
Yes. Yeah.
Aren't they spatially with the seal that's attached to the black?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah.
I did not bring one, but I do have some. I would have been happy to demonstrate. I apologize.
And those are readily available at most restaurants?
Yes.
We used that during the pandemic.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Because that was helpful. Then I will look for a second as to the amendment. Representative Hoheisel has seconded the amendment. It's been explained. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the Thomas Amendment to House Bill 2611, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. No. Opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The ayes do have it. The bill is amended. We are back on the bill. Representative Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a couple of minor amendments. So first one I would ask would be the daycare related one. And while he's passing that out, if I may.
They'll be handed out while they're handing them out. Would you like to
Yes,
explain
sir.
them?
Simply strikes daycare on page 8, line 38. Given the difficult nature of identifying what is and is not a daycare, I don't think we want to subject people to a potential $1,000 penalty. These other institutions are fairly easily identifiable, but I don't know how you distinguish daycares from an ordinary home sometimes. And I also don't really see the point to the prohibition.
Thank you. Any questions? Revisor, do you want to chime in here?
I think Representative Miller explained his amendment.
Thank you. Then questions of the carrier of the amendment? Seeing none, do I have a second? Oh, excuse me, go right ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I do have a question. Could the revisor explain this section in which the amendment's contained, just so you can bring us up to speed, please? Thank you.
The section amended is a list of places where you cannot deliver. And daycare is one of them that's in the list of where you cannot deliver. The thought is that if you're delivering to a home and the home has 5 children in a home setting of a daycare, it wouldn't be like going to kindercare or whatever. This would be a home and you wouldn't know, the person wouldn't know if it was a daycare. I think that's rationale.
Was that helpful?
Mr. Chairman, a little bit helpful, but I don't know all the regulations as it relates to daycare in the state of Kansas, whether every daycare is licensed or not. So, okay.
They are not.
Thank you. Further, then is there a second to the amendment? Is there a second to the Miller amendment? Representative Heiberger has seconded it. Further questions on the amendment? Representative, you may close. You've heard Representative Miller move to amend House Bill 2611. All in favor, say aye. Those opposed, no. No. Opinion of the chair, the noes have it. The noes. Do you wish to have division?
Moving on.
Oh, the noes do have it. It does not attach. Representative Miller.
Second Amendment, also fairly simple. It would be distributed, and I'll explain it, Mr. Chairman. It's on page 8, line 33, and it would strike, among those that you can't deliver to, it would strike someone noticeably intoxicated. The reasoning being that is someone that is intoxicated is wishing to have additional alcohol. The last thing we want is to encourage them to go out for it as opposed to having it delivered to their home. And if they're unable to get it delivered, their option will be to go out, and that's not a good public policy to encourage people to do that.
Thank you. Does the reviser wish to chime in? Is that basically the carrier of the amendment did a good job explaining? Questions of the carrier of the amendment? Seeing none, is there a second for the amendment of Representative Miller? Yes, Representative Hauser. I have a second. Further discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, Representative Miller, you may close.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I close.
You have heard the motion of Representative Miller to amend House Bill 2611. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. No. Opinion of the chair, the noes do have it. The noes do have it. The motion fails. Back on the bill. Yes, Representative Hoyt.
I don't know the name of this amendment. It was the representative. It was the adding the drinking establishment. So with that and the way that the permit works currently for third party, that amendment only applied to drinking establishments. So it would only be drinking establishments able to deliver those beverages to go. Third party would not be able to deliver those for the restaurant. Am I interpreting that correctly?
This in the same fashion that a retailer can deliver, or for retailer that's either liquor store, microbrewery, those. Or a cereal malt beverage retailer, this would allow a club and drinking establishment to utilize the same type of delivery. So it's not just them delivering, they could use a third party.
Even though that's not defined under that Drinking Establishment Act?
I didn't add the whole section. This is a conceptual amendment that was passed, that you're going to have a new section of the law amended that reflects it's basically the same as sections 2, 3. You're going to have a section 4 that deals only with the drinking establishment law. So
that also makes it apply to the third.
Yes,
okay.
That's correct.
Thank you.
That was helpful. So we're back on the bill. Further discussion? Yes, Representative Hauser.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to invoke one of G.W. Bush's Bushisms and invoke a nuclear option. In doing so, I'd like to make a motion to table this bill and all its amendments.
All right. You want to make it to table is what you're telling me. That a nuclear option? Okay. I thought with the war, something had happened in the war and that the nukes were coming our way or whatever. So, okay. Representative, it's a non-debatable motion unless you have a point of order.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to do a substitute motion to table till March 9th.
Thank you. Priority, it is a priority motion, a motion to substitute the motion to table. It's also a motion to table, but it's a substitute motion to table with a date specific. And your date was again?
March 9th.
Thank you. If this motion fails, it would go back to the original motion, the motion to table. Everybody, ask, if you have a question, ask for a point of order.
Point
If
of order,
not,
Mr. Chairman.
point of order.
Mr. Chair, the first motion to table had no date or timeline on it, correct, sir?
That is correct.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. No other point of order. We vote. All in favor of the substitute motion to table, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. No. Opinion of the chair, the noes have it. The noes do have it. I'm sorry? Oh, on the substitute? Okay, thank you. Let's go back to square one, folks. Your chairman has made a mistake. I have a motion to table from Representative Hauser. Was there a second to his motion? The second is from the ranking member. Then I have a substitute motion from the vice chair with a date specific, a substitute motion to table. Did I have a second on that? I have a Representative Hoheisel. We will vote again.
Point of order.
Point of order.
I want to be clear. Did I hear the chairman correctly? He said he made a mistake.
An improper point of order. Thank you. All in favor of the substitute motion to table with a date specific, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. No. Opinion of the chair, the noes have it. Noes do have it. We're back on the original motion to table. All in favor of Representative Hauser's original motion to table, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no.
No.
Opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The ayes do have it. The motion is tabled. Committee, let's go forward here. Talk a little bit about next week. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I had a question on the tabled motion that passes. When it's tabled, it could be brought back by the chairman, correct?
It cannot, it has to be, chairman did not vote.
Correct.
Only someone who tells me, and I believe we didn't take a record of this, if they tell me they voted on the prevailing side, they can make a motion to reconsider.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Actually, I think anyone can make a motion to remove it from the table.
Well, my understanding of the rules, you have to vote or indicate you have voted on the prevailing side. And that's what we do in the chamber. So when the chamber rules apply.
Mr. Chairman, can I have my yes vote recorded, please?
I'm going to hold off for just a second. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Can I have my yes vote recorded, please?
You can.
That way, if we do bring.
Committee next week. Be very nice to your chairman. We're not going to work on Monday. I will not be here Monday. Tuesday, we do have an interesting bill that I would like for you to research this weekend. It's House Bill 2681. Tuesday, that's Tuesday. We possibly will work another alcohol bill. And forgive me, I had the number down here. It's the one with the adjoining counties. 2502. Thank you. And then on Wednesday, we have, and this may change, we just got in a number of Senate bills. And so please pay attention. Every day I'm going to be probably having Connie send out an amended agenda. But we will have some Senate bills posted. So things are fluid and they move around a little bit. But one thing that will not change is on Thursday, we will have the Sand Hill Plum. No matter what, we're going to do that one. on Thursday, and we'll work around it, and we may not work next Friday. Probably not, though, because there's a number of our members want to go south. But with that, I was going to do bill introductions now. I didn't do it at the beginning because I still had the bill open. Is there bill introduction from committee members? Seeing no bill introductions from committee members, is there bill introductions from the audience? Representative, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. I have a 22 RS 3429. It's an act concerning freedom of worship, prohibiting certain restrictions on such freedom by government entities.
That was 34.
Yes, sir. 3429.
Thank you very much. Without objection. Seeing no objection, we've accepted your bill. Committee, if you would be so kind as to have a good weekend and get out of here, go home. Nothing else for the good of the committee. We are adjourned.